And we got to open the meeting.
Okay, is James coming?
I believe, is he here? I thought he was here. No?
I don't see him here.
I invited him. You want to wait a minute?
Yeah, I guess we could wait a minute or two, but I mean, he didn't respond, right? No?
No. Nope. I sent a reminder out earlier this afternoon.
Yeah, I had a hell of a time trying to find the link. I don't know when it came in.
If you save it, it actually should be loaded right into, oh, James is here. Hold on a second. It loads right into your calendar.
I use Gmail calendar there, or whatever it is.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I use Outlook. So.
Yeah.
I think it gives you the option, though.
Does it? No, I don't know.
All right, so James is here. Let me read.
Yep. Okay, at this time, I'll open the meeting. Dave, you read the
Okay.
disclaimer.
All right. Pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, Mass General Laws, Chapter 30A, Section 19, and the Governor's March 15, 2020 order imposing strict limitations on the number of people that may gather in any one place, this meeting of the Freetown Cable Advisory Committee is being conducted by a remote participation. No in-person attendance or members of the public will be permitted, but every effort is being made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings as provided for in the order. A recording of this meeting will be posted to the town's YouTube channel, youtube.com/FreetownMA, following the conclusion of this meeting or shortly thereafter. So we are officially open. I guess, Bill, do you want to take the lead here and we can talk about, let me just preface it by saying I contacted Mike about that. We did meet with the board. Unfortunately, I didn't post that meeting. So it was only Bill and I presenting basically what we had talked about with Mike in terms of where we were at with the negotiations. The one thing that came up was the 3%, 100,000. I see that as probably the only issue at this point because I think we've agreed to what we were going to agree to. And I guess from Mike, we need some feedback as to whether or not that's doable.
You're asking if the 3%, 100,000 is doable?
Yep.
Yes, it is.
All right. So I guess where do we go from here? Do we want to go through the list again and make sure that we're all on the same page, or do we want to have Bill put together the final list and send it to Mike, and then we can have Bill prepare a contract based on those terms?
I can certainly do that if that's Mike, if that makes sense, and David.
Yeah, that's fine with me. I think we're all pretty much in the same boat. I mean, the last time it was, 3%, 100,000, senior discount letter, 3 channels, one of them being HD within 36 months, and I think that covered everything. Unless anybody has anything to add.
Mike, I got a question about, I'm not too familiar, but it's a SD-SDI.
Yep.
Now, I noticed that in some of the contracts, and maybe I don't know where I saw it, but that was an issue. Or is that something that needs to be in the contract? Is that for new?
Yeah, so what we'll end up doing is between now and Bill kind of drafting up a contract, we'll have somebody come out and look at your system. I'm just going to take a wild guess that you don't have SD-SDI. But again, I don't know. And then, so there's a couple things that need to come into play for an HD channel. And, that's something that you'll have to cover the cost on. And there is some upgrade to equipment, and there could be some potential fiber runs that are needed, which we can determine now, within the next, couple weeks as we're finalizing this license. But normally, if you're talking, 3 channels, you would need, I think, so 3 channels, 2 SD, 1 HD. There's one encoder that's needed for the HD, and another one that's needed for both the SD channels. And then we just have to determine what else you have out there. And then we can go from there if that's what we're agreed upon.
That would have to be in the contract, right, Mike?
Yes, we would put that in the contract.
Okay, the other
How
thing,
expensive does that generally run?
The equipment cost is probably roughly, say, 22,000.
Oh. Mm.
now how is that written into other contracts?
Everybody with HD has paid for that.
All right. Do we want to talk about that a little bit, or is that something that, well, it's not coming for 3 years anyway. We do have 3 years to literally save for it if that's what we're going to do.
Correct.
But it should be in the contract if it's something that we're interested in, correct?
I would say yes. So that's something Bill would want to take a look at.
Yeah, usually it's written as an option, upon written request, we'll provide the HD channel for, within 3 years. And I think Mike is probably correct that most towns end up having to pay for the equipment. There may be some exceptions out there. But most of the time we have to pay to get that HD channel equipment. I don't know. Sometimes we get encoders. Could you throw in a couple encoders for us, Mike? They're only about $2,500, right?
No, those not for those. That's why there's 2 encoders. It's about 22,000 for 2.
Oh,
The encoders themselves alone cost $22,000.
Yep. Yeah, this is way different than, now that we're fiber and digital versus the old coax equipment that's out there. And you'll need that equipment to be able to do HD.
Where does the fiber originate, and where's the endpoint?
I don't know, other than I don't know if you have fiber to your. So right now, where's your equipment? Is it in the town hall? Like your hub, as we would call it?
I honestly don't know.
Where do you go live from? Town hall?
We don't have any live connections at this point.
You don't have any live feeds at this point?
No. That's what we want to do at the police station.
At the police station?
Because we just built a new police station. What we want to do is we want to be able to broadcast live from the police station, which is at East Freetown on Memorial Drive.
Okay. Well, most likely we would need to run fiber there. So we would need to look at what
if we just wanted to do standard def?
We would still need to run something there because there's no connection at this time.
It couldn't be over cable?
It could be. Yep. I mean, most of the times these days we just run fiber. I mean, nobody's ever asked to run coax at this point.
Well, if the coax is already there in terms of a short range kind of thing, would it make it easier to do like a standard def drop there?
Well, you'd have to run. So there's a twofold thing here. So you would need to establish where your hub is going to be. So you don't have access down, like you don't have an access provider, correct? So
Yeah.
you would
We
need,
use Lakeville and Middleborough for our, they upload it, we don't have anything that's live.
so they upload, um, so they take like a video and they upload it for you, correct?
Yeah, that is correct.
So that's different than that's different obviously than broadcasting live, because we would need to be sending a signal back to equipment to then send to our head end, which goes out.
All right.
Well, so I don't know how so I don't know how stuff, like where the connection is that Freetown, so Middleborough or Lakeham, they send that video signal back to our head end somehow for your channel.
Yeah.
I don't know how they do that, which I need to find out.
All right.
Because normally, whether you have a regional thing, everything gets sent to what's called a hub. So when we're talking encoders, decoders, there's like whether it's a studio or whether there's almost like a server room where things are kept. That's where all your equipment is, and everything originates in a sense out of there, which is like your main, I'll call it, processing area. So
Okay.
stuff then gets sent from your remote locations to there, and then stuff gets sent from there down to our head end. I need to find out how stuff gets back to our head end for you.
All right. So I guess, is that a deal breaker for us in terms of the cost and all of that, or we're assuming we're going to have to do that cost anyway?
Yeah, that's something you're going to have to get, set up at some point. And, honestly, I can't tell you how to do it, whether you're going to do it through your, having your own person, or, whether you look to a Middleborough or Lakeham. That's kind of up to the town's decision on that.
Well, the recording of it is not so much the issue, is getting the signal from its point of origin to the head end.
Well, it's a multi thing, because you're talking getting the signal, which is one thing. Like, obviously you have a channel up now. There is a signal that goes to there. So I'll find out where that is. But if you're trying to go eventually live from the police station, then we would have to figure out how to do that, whether that, that signal, that live signal, is now getting sent, to Lakeham or Middleborough, or, maybe the hub is just in the police station, and you have somebody that's now operating that that live stream. So there's a couple different variables at this point.
All right, that's yeah. I'm not a technical person, so I'd have to.
So that's housed at the location of the where we're going to be broadcasting from. Is that correct?
It doesn't have to be.
Okay.
There'll be equipment, you'll need to have equipment there to obviously broadcast, but that encoder decoder is going to be at a hub, which could be there or it could be somewhere else. It's kind of up to the town where they would like to have the hub. Most likely it's going to be, if you as a town is going to operate it yourself, whether you establish an access corp or whether, it's a town run thing, however you want to do it, then I would say most likely the idea would be to just have the equipment where you're going live from, i.e. the police station.
Okay, so how would that be introduced into the contract at this point? Because it wouldn't even become an issue for like 3 years, right?
It would not, no. So as Bill said, it would be something that says, you know, upon written request, subject to payment, um, you know, us Comcast, the licensee will, you know, provide such and such. That's normally how it's written in.
And then now, the special boxes, now, is that something that is in the subscribers, or is that something that, the boxes to get that?
I don't
I'm
know.
not,
What
I'm
do you
not,
mean by in the subscribers?
well, listen, first of all, I'm not that familiar with it myself. But if we did go that route, then that would go into the room that we have at the police department, David, correct?
That would be correct.
And then it would get broadcast from there, right?
It would. Anything in the room, we have like a community room that we're putting in the new police station, so we could have meetings there and training, as well as a command access center, command control center, I should say. So, you know, my thought would be that's where we would be broadcasting from.
Okay, well then, I guess the thing to do is to probably get some more, educate, at least myself anyways, a little bit more on this. And make sure that it is in the contract, that we have to request it by writing, then that's fine, you know, we can do it at that point.
Okay, so Bill, you want to make a note of that and make sure that ends up, and this is
Yeah.
going to be the standard contract that we've been using now, or is it going to be, are we going to, you know, is there any changes that would come as a result of anything that was outside of what we've talked about?
Well, it's a fairly standard license language paragraph for getting an HD channel that is being written into Comcast agreements. So I can certainly show you what that looks like.
Yeah, I'm not so much concerned about that. I'm concerned about the standard contract that we're going to adopt. That, you know, are we taking basically the same contract and just updating it?
I think it's pretty close, yeah. I mean, in 10 years, there have been some changes to the standard agreement, the standard license. So what we will get now will be a current standard Verizon type, Comcast type license. And the terms are fairly similar from town to town, and it is fairly standard. I don't think it's all that different than the one we had 10 years ago. But yes, it will be a standardized type of license.
All right. And the only thing at this point would be all of this is, we're still going to have to bring it back to the board. Bill, you were at the meeting. I didn't see any objection to anything we talked about, but
Yeah.
it's still going to need a vote of the board to endorse it.
Right, although I don't think we discussed the cost of getting an HD channel.
We did not.
No, that was an issue we did not, we weren't alerted to that. I should have realized it when we were talking about getting an HD channel. I didn't say anything. Mike, is there any chance of getting a number in the license that, you know, no greater than, no more than we'll pay for? The town will be responsible for up to 20,000 or something like that?
Yeah, I have to send somebody out to look at it before I can say yes or no on a number, but there's a potential to put a number in there. Yes.
I think that would make it a little more sellable to the town, at least so that it's not, you know, totally unforeseeable.
So Mike, what is this person looking for when he comes out?
He's looking for, you know, two things: your equipment, and then the availability. You know, what's out there to do it. So some towns already have certain things in place that they have either spent money on over the years or done themselves, where they have connected, you know, buildings via fiber, which will allow you to do HD. I don't know if that is in place out in Freetown.
Okay.
And judging by kind of what we're talking about, I don't think it is. So there would have to be equipment and fiber run so that HD could be, that you could then go live in HD when the time comes. So that's what we need to just verify, what is in place and what's there before um, we can do anything, because I can't, I can't sit here and say, yeah, we can go to HD, but then you don't have the equipment or the lines in place to be able to broadcast in HD, then we have a problem.
Right. Okay, so we can get that taken care of, I guess, right?
All right,
Yeah,
so-
I'll put in a request tonight to get it looked at.
So what we should do is we should work on getting get the contract prepared. Have one more meeting to define what the scope of that is in terms of cost. And then make, the following meeting would be with the board to vote on it and endorse it. And then we forward it to Comcast for a counter signatory. Does that make sense?
I could certainly get a license, a draft license, Mike, to you and Dave, to you and the committee within a couple days. I'll put in the stuff we've agreed to, and we'll work on the issues that we have with respect to the HD channel and possible costs there.
Yep. And
All
Bill,
right.
just let me know what what previous draft you're working off of, what town we've done before.
Okay. What have we got going on now? I know we've got one in New Bedford that Jerry and I are working on. We could use that.
Okay, yeah, whichever one that's been, whatever's been the most recent blessed by Jerry would be advantageous.
Then let's use that.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
All right. I guess that is pretty much it then, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
All right. Do we want to set another meeting so that we can all talk about that?
Sure.
It's a good idea.
James and Josh, you got any comments about what we just talked about?
I think, we just got to, like you said, take a look at it, what the maximum cost would be, just so we're aware. It's obviously, it's got to be done at some point sooner or later, but it's better to be aware of it and kind of, if we can put that in the contract, that it shouldn't exceed a certain amount. That way, if there is something of a price increase, so by the time it gets put in, that should benefit us in that way. But
Yeah, it would be nice to know what it's going to be.
yeah, we don't want to get caught, like, oh, wow, it's 50 grand or something, something ridiculous.
Yeah,
And
that takes
we
up
don't-
half of what we're going to have for capital costs.
Yeah, it'll definitely, diminish what we're able to accomplish if it costs too much.
Okay.
Well, that's why it would be a separate issue. It'd be a separate in the contract, just saying we need to request it if we desire it at that point, right?
Yeah, we wouldn't be committed to it.
Right. Right.
All right. Let's plan on meeting. Oh boy. All right. We could do it next week. The following week after that, I'm on vacation. We could do it on the 21st. That's agreeable to everybody.
21st works for me.
All right. So October 21 at 5.
October 21st?
Yeah.
What is that?
Tomorrow's,
Picked up.
tomorrow's the first day of October.
2 full moons this month.
Oh, wow.
When is our existing contract?
I think we're right in that area. It doesn't matter because as long as we're bargaining, the contract remains in place.
Correct.
It's October 12th, or maybe October 11th.
Yeah, I was thinking the 11th.
So, I mean, the date is not, it's important, but it's not critical. So if we continue to negotiate, we come up with agreement by the end of October, that's going to be fine.
Okay. In the interim, Bill, you said you were gonna get some contracts from other towns and cities?
Well, I'm going to take one that I've recently worked on with Jerry Buckley in the city of New Bedford, and I'm just going to modify that.
Okay,
There are a whole bunch of standard, you'll see when you get it, but about 80% or 85% of these licenses are all standard terminology that relate to, customer service and build out provisions and, technical standards and things like that you see repeated over and over and over again in every license every year.
yeah, I got a copy of the existing one that we have.
Yeah, we'll work a little bit from that, but as I say, they change over the years. And so the better practice and the more agreeable practice to everybody is to take an example of a recent Comcast license that we like and that we know has a lot of agreeable provisions in it. There's some in there that I insist on, like liquidated damages and other things, and that's in New Bedford. So I'll take the New Bedford license and I'll modify it and we'll name it Freetown, and I'll go through and I'll pluck in the numbers that we've agreed to, like the 3% and the 100,000. And the other things, the other issues we've discussed. The issue about the HD channel is still open to negotiations. I'll put in some red lines in there that we can tweak and adjust and so on. And I'll circulate that out to all of you and to Mike. And that'll be our working document going forward.
Good.
Great.
Okay, sounds good.
And we'll work on the issue of the HD channel and try to make it as palatable as possible to the town. I have seen agreements where we say, the town will be obligated to pay up to X amount. And so that gives us a little bit of reassurance that, that we've got a number there that we can look to. And if it's going to be 2 or 3 years, we can start to save up. We can maybe have a special reserve fund or something like that to help pay for that. The HD channel is something a lot of people like and a lot of people want. So it'll be an option. We won't have to have it, but it'll be our election. So that's what it'll look like in the license.
We would need a location, correct?
Well, you're going to get one channel,
Right.
which will be HD. So you can, that can be any of the channels you want. It can be P, E, or G, and you can broadcast that or cablecast that from whatever location you are able to do that you have.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's got to have the HD compatible equipment, as Mike said.
right. Well, the equipment's got to be housed, and we don't have that facility right now, but the police station is probably earmarked for that, right, David?
If we have a big planning board meeting or a selectmen's meeting, or we had any kind of event that, a town event, a small gathering kind of thing, hopefully when we get back to normal again, that's probably what we would be looking at.
I'm talking about the housing the equipment would be in that room at the police.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. As far as the broadcast and that, I guess that's where it's gonna come out of, no matter where we do it. Is that
Yep.
correct? If I understand.
Yeah.
So, okay,
Yeah, that would be the intent. All right, so it sounds like we're gonna meet. Do we have anything else that we can let Mike go and,
I don't think so. No, I mean, as far as the contract goes, but I'd like to speak to the three of us.
all right,
Josh and James and David and myself.
all right, that's fine. So Mike, you can go and we'll talk again on the 21st.
Sounds good. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you,
Good night.
Mike.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What I'd like to talk about, and just briefly, real quick, is that after this negotiation is done, what exactly are we going to pursue after this? Is talk about, that's something we need to discuss, because just fulfilling the obligation for the contract is just part of it right now, I would imagine. And then
Yeah,
You know, if we're
I
gonna
I would think the
set up
next step
a
would
studio or
be
something like that, you know?
looking at programming,
Right,
looking at either having a relationship with Lakeville or with Middleborough,
yep,
or looking at potentially having our own studio.
right. So I just wanted to bring that up so that we have something to think about and that, you know, we're not done, I guess, is when the contract's done. We need to keep going forward, you know?
Yeah.
No, I'm really glad to hear you say that because I usually start out by telling cable committees when I first meet them that the immediate task is to negotiate a renewal license, but that after that you have an ongoing purpose that goes out through the term of that license. And the ongoing purpose, among other things, is to ensure that the cable company is complying with that license. And that's not a huge task, but most licenses provide that you can have a public hearing once a year. The selectman can have a public hearing, or their designee can have a public hearing and get public comment about whether the cable company is doing its job. And so cable committees are the vehicle for that. And I'm glad to hear you say and acknowledge that your job isn't done when the license is done, because that's absolutely correct. There is some work for you beyond the license, in addition to what David said about kind of developing a strategy or policy for having a studio or having your own access provider, or linking up, extending your link or expanding your link, or strengthening your link with Lakeville or Middleborough, however you want to do that, however you want to work that out. But license compliance is important. And we often get people at, the time when the license being renewed, we get people who come in and say, for years and years and years, my service has been terrible. And my question to them is, well, where have you been? Why didn't you tell us 5 years ago? Oh, I did, nothing happened. So one of the proper functions of a cable committee would be to have an annual hearing and ask those people to come in and find out, are you having signal problems? Are you having, quality control problems? Are you having customer service problems? How are they doing? Were you supposed to get connected and didn't get connected under the license, and that sort of thing. So that's all in the future. But that is an ongoing responsibility of a cable advisory committee, and it's something that I'm glad to hear you say, and I hope you'll go forward and do that through the term of the license.
Well, that was kind of one of the reasons why I wanted to get on this committee, was to continue forward, and I wasn't really, thinking that it just a license that was the end of it, because I can remember years ago we did have a studio, and we did have people who were going around town during certain events and also doing the meetings like we're doing now. But I think we need to talk about all those aspects as a committee, and even get some more people on this committee besides the three of us, actually, because David, you're going to be gone in December. So
Yeah, it's closer than November. I think I'm taking my last 2 weeks
yeah,
as vacation. So I'm probably looking at Thanksgiving week, maybe.
yeah.
So
James and Josh will have to, at some point, hopefully we can meet, physically meet, maybe at the senior center, and go into more detail on what the future bring, and try to get more personnel on this committee. We probably should get at least 4 people, get 5 or 7 anyway, I would think.
yeah.
But just food for thought, that's all I'm bringing it up for, is, hopefully we'll continue going on after this is completed.
In terms of an in-person meeting, I hate to say that, but I don't think you're going to be having one of those for a while.
No, I know, but I mean, it's easier to work when we're together, and we can, this is difficult to some degree,
Yeah. Well, the thing with the physical location, number one, you get to talk to people face to face.
Right.
There's something to be said for that. And number two, it's the Zoom thing, in terms of remembering that I don't know, I just find a physical meeting easier to remember.
Right.
mentally, so then that's just me. I'm old school.
So
So,
I agree. I agree.
I miss
Okay.
the in-person meetings.
Is there anything else we need to bring before the meeting? Hearing none, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion. Josh?
Do I hear a second? James? Okay, motion made and seconded to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye. Josh?
Okay, I'll poll the membership. James? Yes?
Yes.
Josh?
Yes.
Okay, and Bruce, yes. So at this time, we'll close the meeting and thank you, gentlemen, and we'll see you on the 21st.
All right. Take care, everybody. Have a good weekend.
You
Bye, everybody.
Take care.